UFC Abu Dhabi. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live for the entire card Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time, early afternoon start. Make sure you guys tune into the show. And let's get into fight number one. We have Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Yes, Buchecha to win has got to be my pick because heavyweight jiu-jitsu is horrible. And we have a guy that's actually really nasty at grappling. High-level jiu-jitsu, championship level, black belt. The dude's been doing it for a long time. I mean, we can scroll back, grappled with, Gordon Ryan at ADCC. He's done it all in the grappling game and then transitioned into MMA and fought a kickboxer and Anderson Silva. Not that Anderson Silva, but the one that was on The Ultimate Fighter. Did have a loss to Umar Kane Rug, who's like a powerful, giant Senegalese wrestler in a competitive back and forth fight. And then he's coming off of a quick win over Amir Ali Akbari, who was a pretty strong wrestler and well respected at one point some years ago. Buchecha's ground skills are where he's going to have huge advantages over the rest of the heavyweight division, or, at least the majority of heavyweights inside of the UFC. Right now, we got Walter Walker, Mr. Heel Hook, getting 3 straight. Buchecha has a win by heel hook here. Well-versed submission skill set in a division where guys tend to be really sloppy on the floor. I think it's a good recipe for success. Yes, he's 35, but he could have 5 years left of his fighting career on a low end at the heavyweight division. Stand-up game is not great, but it also isn't awful. Against Rug, they were mixing up shots and he was trying to throw heavy punches at him with nice straights. And, he was coming with, tight clinch knees and a little sloppy, a little dirty, but like what you see at heavyweight, but having, okay, maybe not the best stand-up game, but at the very least, somewhat average stand-up game, right? And then on top of that, having a high caliber jiu-jitsu base, it seems like he can get past more of a mid-caliber guy in Martin Buday. Listen, with Buday, yes, on paper, he's 4-1 in his last 5, but the wins are Jake Collier barely, and Collier's terrible. Josh Parisian, Kimura, and Parisian's not good. Shamil Gaziev was able to beat his ass. Arlovsky split decision. I thought it could have went the other way. And then he beat Uran Salti Baldiev coming in on a day's notice as a light heavyweight and just essentially smotherfucked him with his 266-pound body. He's fighting a guy that's going to be able to get him to the ground and show him levels on the mat. Buday's a striker. He's big, and, being that big, it's not like guys are throwing him around in the grappling, but he's also not fought somebody like Buchecha. He's never seen this type of jiu-jitsu threat. There is going to be a level jump when these two hit the mat. And I think it's going to be a level jump that's just too much for Martin Buday to climb. I got to bring up the odds real quick here. Give me just a second. Let's check these odds out and let's see what we're looking at. As of right now, Buchecha's a 3-1 favorite. UFC debut, 3-1 favorite. Is because Buday might be a striker, but he's not a heavy-handed striker. He's kind of just a fat boy pressure fighter striker. Buchecha's high caliber, matrix-like jiu-jitsu. That's what I'm going to call it, matrix-like. Too many threats of subs. 3-1 favorite to plus 251 Buday. I don't see Buday knocking him out. So Buday's going to have to outdog him. The reason that we saw Buchecha have any trouble with Rug is because this dude was a Senegalese wrestler. And even then, Buchecha was able to pass to full mount on him. I don't think Martin Buday has that type of ground game. The pick is Buchecha at minus 300, over 1.5, minus 140. But I think Buchecha by sub would make the most sense. He's live for it in the entire fight. If you look at his MMA career, versatile submission threat, rear naked choke, heel hook, even got a ground and pound win, got a north-south choke in the debut, rear naked choke in the second fight. On the ground, he's going to show levels. And I don't think Martin Buday is quite ready for the level of jiu-jitsu he's going to face on the opposite side. Now, to be fair, Buday never been submitted before, but like I said, has not been on the mat with anybody like this. Buchecha to win, and I do think he's going to lock up a submission. At worst, it's ground and pound. And I'm looking forward to having a heavyweight on the roster that's got nasty grappling. That's a key to breaking into the top 15. Sure, you can have thunderous power, fast hands and great movement, and that can get you to the top. But there's so many trash grapplers at heavyweight that I think Buchecha's willingness to engage in a dogfight with Umar Kane Rugrug nearly 2 years ago, to me, is a green flag, even though it's a loss on his record. Because he's not like a chicken shit grappler only where he's scared to get punched in the face. He can take a shot, he can land a shot, and he can sub you. I'm going with Buchecha, and I'm going to say he gets a submission, but could see him big body Buday, get to his back, control, embrace the grind, beat him up with some ground and pound. If Buday is very resilient to the submission with, the thick frame that he has. Could watch for his legs, though. I could see Buchecha going for some type of leg entanglement. Either way, Buchecha submission is going to be the pick. I'm going to believe in the Brazilian debut. Next fight, Muhammad Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. I'm going to go with Stephen Nguyen. I think it's about time he gets a UFC win. It's kind of the perfect matchup for him, too. Outside of, being from the region, right? Being from Dubai and the fight card also, in that vicinity. What does Yahya really bring to the table in any of his UFC fights? I don't think he's UFC level. Trevor Peek bodied him in his UFC debut. And then he got knocked out in the first round violently after getting his legs destroyed by Kawe Fernandez. Look at the bright side for Yahya, though. He's dropping 10 pounds, going to 145. It's a different matchup. Stephen Nguyen, he's not as sharp at striking as Kawe Fernandez, but I definitely think he's a more well-versed MMA fighter than Trevor Peek is. I guess Peek's got like that freak physicality and just that willing to go berserker mode type style, whereas Stephen Nguyen is, more on the fundamentalist side, but he has power in his hands. He rips good punch combinations together. He's got heavy kicks to the body. I'd say he's relatively good in all areas of the game. He's been doing this for a long time. He fought on Contender Series for the first time all the way back in 2019. Holy shit, 6 years ago against Alon Cruz. And then you look at, his 2 wins on Contender Series, beat the shit out of AJ Cunningham to get the roster spot. And then Jarno Aarons gave him a bit of a striking lesson. Wasn't, just the most beating of beatings, but it was a clear loss. Aarons, he comes from that, Dutch kickboxing base, even though he didn't have much success in the UFC and got released. It doesn't tell me Stephen Nguyen is a shitbag for a matchup like this. Like, I really think Muhammad Yahya, I feel like he's on the cusp. If this line in the middle is UFC level, I feel like Yahya is here. I feel like Stephen Nguyen is here. Okay? I think Nguyen's going to have enough craft in his overall game to win this fight wherever it takes place. I think he's the heavier puncher. I also think defensively he's more sound. Yahya has that habit of keeping his hands low, more towards the low center of the chest. And sure, you can say, oh, well, Vinicius Oliveira doesn't put his hands up. Yeah, Oliveira's a freak athlete with crazy explosiveness and God-given fast twitch abilities. Whereas Muhammad Yahya, kind of fundamentalist kickboxing style, lacks power. I feel like he's on the weaker side. I get it. He's dropping in weight, and maybe this is going to be the best decision for him ever, but I'm going to go with Stephen Nguyen to go out there and beat him. I think he's live for a finish, but with Nguyen, you never know. I'm not crazy about calling the finish either. I'm going to say Nguyen gets it done. It's a KO or it's a decision here. At minus 350, the odds are really ugly. I don't think they necessarily need to be this wide if you're looking at it from a true analysis perspective as opposed from the betting odds side. But yeah, Nguyen should get 2 out of the 3 rounds at worst, but potentially get a knockout. He opened up as a 5-1 favorite. It's like I could not, even though Yahya is a great value line, plus 285. Oh my God, he's not awful. He's got more UFC fights. What if he takes shots and he fires back and he wins a close decision? Plus 285 will bait you to play it, and Nguyen at minus 350 makes you not want to play it. But skill for skill, Nguyen's the definite better MMA fighter with a more well-rounded tool set. And I think he's more athletic too. He's faster, sharper, defensively more sound. He's just better, and he's going to win. Over a round and a half is minus 200. Nguyen could knock him out. I mean, he has power in his hands, and Yahya having those hands low and getting knocked out his last fight could definitely be caught. And dropping down to 145 doesn't mean Yahya is going to look better than last time. There's a chance we see a worse version of Muhammad Yahya. Nothing he's done has blown me away. Nothing either one of these guys have done necessarily blows me away, but I was impressed by the way Steve Nguyen beat the piss out of AJ Cunningham on Contender Series. And I feel like he does have a sharp stand-up game, and he does have good timing on his punches. And I do think he's going to knock Muhammad Yahya out. So I'm going KO win for Stephen Nguyen and getting his first UFC W as well. Next fight on the card. We got Aslan versus Billy Elekana. This pick was tough for me because I have been doubting Aslan off rip. I predicted Cutelaba to beat him last time, and Cutelaba destroyed him on the ground. But now he's fighting Billy Elekana. I'm going to go with Aslan. It's just, I think Aslan has the power to hurt Billy Elekana on the feet. Yes, he's a little wild and chaotic, but I also don't think Elekana has enough power on the other side to really make Aslan pay for overthrowing his punches and throwing these reckless shots and walking down with no respect for Billy Elekana, because I don't think he's going to have to respect the power. Elekana does switch his stances, but he likes southpaw. He does have an okay straight left, an okay jab. He's relatively clean in the striking realm. I'd say that he's, a decent kickboxer. And then, you think about the ground skills. He showed some control against Bogdan Guskov early in the fight. But I went back and rewatched it. It was just like a perfectly timed sequence to the back take. And then he ends up getting reversed and got fucked up in that fight. And he got submitted himself in that fight. He got caught in a gilly. It's not like Elekana has this thunderous wrestling game. If it was like, yo, he's got the takedowns though, then it's maybe. It's like the reason I was able to justify picking Cutelaba is knowing that he has the wrestling base that he either falls back on or uses, and he definitely used it. I don't know if Elekana's got the abilities to out-grapple Aslan. I think he's forced into a striking fight, and if Elekana could stay sharp and land cleaner shots, I could see him eking by with a decision, but I don't think he's knocking Aslan out. I think Aslan could land some big overhand shots. I think he could rock Elekana on the feet. I think this could be a sloppy fight. I think this is a fight where Aslan wins, but it's going to be a tough test. I don't think it's a walk in the park. He's got the power. He's got the one-shot power that he could put Elekana away. He throws odd, wild shots and stuff, whereas Elekana is more fundamentalist. But sometimes those fundamentalist styles get thrown off rhythm by chaos that Aslan brings. I got to go towards Aslan. I feel like it's a KO or it's a decision. I can see him rocking Elekana at some point. I feel as though Billy Elekana obviously is going to be riding high, taking the short notice fight against Guskov and having a couple good moments. But how many guys have we seen? They have insane performances in UFC debuts on short notice, and then they get a full camp and they're somehow like 30% worse. This could be one of those cases. So Aslan could show Elekana levels. I'm not sold. Elekana, he lost to Daniel Compton in LFA. He had some wins on the PFL Challenger Series against okay guys. He's got a KO against a lower level guy in Juriel Simmons. So it's like, okay, does he have power? I guess, but better fighters have survived his onslaught. Aslan, say what you want about his ground skills. They're subpar, but he's got 14 KO wins. Elekana's got what? One win by submission? When was it? UFC debut MMA debut against a 1-3 guy. I guess he did beat Brian Battle in 2018. I feel like Aslan should win. I don't think Elekana has that good of a ground game where he's just going to bully Aslan. And I'm sure Aslan's been spending a shitload of time working on takedown defense and get-ups. It would be stupid if he wasn't. And, in the past 4 months plus, I'm sure that he's made some improvements to that area. And he's not fighting a specimen on the mat or anything like that. He's fighting an okay striker that's relatively well-rounded, but gives me very generalist vibes, doesn't have a lot of power. Isn't super quick, but isn't slow either. It's just relatively decent. Knows how to react. I'm going to say Aslan can win. I think he can keep the hype alive a bit here and either put Elekana out, but I kind of feel like it's going to be a sloppy decision that Aslan gets here. Because at times I'm watching his striking, I'm like, man, it is fucking sloppy. But Elekana is not that reactive. He doesn't have much pop. He's not super explosive. He doesn't have great time. He's okay. Minus 260 for Aslan, plus 220 for Elekana. I feel like Aslan can do enough. I rate his power as a big factor. I think he's got better hands. I think he's more accurate with his punches, especially significant strikes. Elekana does like to, use a lot of lateral movement, but with Aslan's unreal pressure, Elekana then trying to stay on his bicycle for 3 rounds and just technically outstrike him? Hard to envision it. The over 1.5 is plus 115. This could be a surprising fight that goes over. Elekana's got that Samoan chin. And, they normally take good shots. I know the Tafa brothers and whatnot been selling hard. And, the Samoan hype is not the same it was long ago. But I do think that maybe Elekana survived some big shots from Aslan. I don't know, over 1.5 maybe. I think Ibo Aslan does enough to win. His striking's pretty dangerous. And I think as long as he can keep this fight standing, he should have a big advantage over Elekana. I'm going to pick Aslan. Next fight on the card, the ladies are going after it. It's Amanda Ribas versus Tabatha Ricci. It's one of those women's fights where we can literally just say, flip the Zin. We'll go heads Ricci, tails Ribas. Boom. Here we go. Heads Ricci. I was actually picking Ricci either way. That was not scripted, but that was good reassuring me that I'm on the right side. I think Ricci's a little faster with her boxing. Even though these girls are, practically the same age, it feels like Ricci's more of the prospect, right? She's a lot feeling like younger in fight years. We've seen Ribas around forever. I feel like Tabatha Ricci can land better punches. Her boxing's okay. She doesn't really use her grappling much, and she tends to just strike in fights. And I look at, Amanda on the other side. She's got a good ground game, but is she going to be able to throw around Ricci? Is she going to be able to hit Ricci with a throw? I ask myself that question. I say no. I think Ricci's base is going to be too good. I have a hard time seeing Ricci getting bullied on the ground. I could see competitive grappling scrambles and maybe Ribas ends up on top. Ribas has decent long Muay Thai straight punches and she has okay body shots and she's all right. It's been a minute since Ribas has looked like that good, man. I know she's only 31, but I do feel more like she's at the final tail of her run. Whereas I feel like there's this more in Ricci. She lost to Xiaonan, but Xiaonan's a monster. And then she had beaten Angela Hill. Tisha fight was mad close. She ends up getting a controversial split. She lost to Loopy on the split, which aged like shit. Jillian Robertson win was actually pretty nice. I see it as a competitive decision. I'd stay away from this one betting-wise. I have no interest. I think Ricci could squeak by 2-1 because of her frame, having a bulky build and some grappling defense. Ribas, even though she's going to have a reach advantage, is not like Amanda Ribas is all that good at keeping fights at range. It's not like Amanda Ribas has shown blistering hand speed and nasty jabs, keeping girls off of her. Ribas has got, solid judo, solid kickboxing. She has explosive moments. She went up to 125, now coming back down to 115. I feel torn as fuck with this fight. I really think Tabatha Ricci has been a bit of a letdown, but Ribas has been a letdown at times too, getting submitted by Mackenzie Dern last time. I hate that this fight exists. I hate that this fight is even a thing because I hate breaking this fight down because I look at Ricci and I think, okay, on paper, I would rate her as the better boxer. In actuality, is that going to hold true? I don't know. At times, Ricci sells. At times, Ricci looks off kilter and slow on the feet, making mistakes and chasing a bit. And then opponents are able to land bigger shots. But okay, it's Yan Xiaonan, though. And then Amanda Ribas has lost 2 straight. Yes, it's Thug Rose and Dern, but she still lost 2 straight. Beat Luana Pinheiro, but that doesn't mean a lot. Macy Barber finished her. Beat Vivia Arujau 2.5 years ago. But Arujau is the definition of hot and cold. I feel like Baby Shark split decision. I think this fight's definitely going over 2.5 rounds. I think the grappling of both cancel out. And then I think we're going to have a really competitive striking match. I feel like Ricci can squeak by, but definitely not crazy about it. Looking towards the lines, Ricci at plus 142 is the dog. I'll be honest with you, I thought these lines were even. Plus 142 Ricci, Ribas minus 162. Feels like a 50-50 fight to me. That's the exact feeling I have. 50-50 down the center. Over 2.5 seems like a lock at minus 400. I don't envision a finish on either side. A knockout or a sub would shock me. I think they go 3 rounds. I think Ricci might finish the fight a little stronger. Maybe win some key striking exchanges in the middle round or maybe even the first round to do enough to get a competitive decision win. Expect it to be a nail biter. Expect it to be a coin flip decision. I think Ricci could do a tad bit more, but definitely not sitting here crazy about it. Like, yeah, that's the one. Tabatha Ricci. Oh, yeah, this is a mismark line. No, I feel like it's 50-50. She happens to be the underdog. I feel like the odds could be more like -145 plus 120, or I feel like they could be even on both sides. I say Ricci squeaks by with a competitive decision. I'm going to pick her. I'm going to go Ricci. I say she does it. I say she does it just barely. But Amanda Ribas, definitely not an easy fight for her. And Ribas could have some distance striking success. I see it as competitive. Like I see both girls winging shots, them tying up in the clinch, both girls defending takedowns. Yeah, going to be a competitive affair. I'll say Ricci on a split decision, which means I ain't confident at all. Next fight on the card, we got Damon Blackshear versus Davey Grant. I'm picking Damon Blackshear against my guy, Davey Grant. I feel kind of saddened to say this, because I like Davey Grant a lot, man. But I went back and rewatched Ramon Tavares and him go after it. And obviously, I've watched Davey Grant's entire career. And I'm thinking to myself, though, I'm like, okay, he didn't look that great against Tavares on a competitive decision. And now he's fighting a guy that's got a heightened reach advantage, is 30, nearly 31, in his absolute prime, showing improvements each and every fight as well. Damon Blackshear has a good kickboxing stand-up game that I think has, I don't know, shown instances of me thinking he's breaking into the top 15, and then that just falls apart. He's got a really good ground game. The better grappler here is Damon Blackshear. He has good takedowns and control. He's got a slick submission skill set. He's got creative submission threats. He's got really good cardio. I'd say he's relatively accurate with his stand-up. And he has shown striking improvements since the earlier UFC run to now. I mean, even if you look back 5 fights ago, 2 years ago, he gave Mario Batista one of his toughest fights in the UFC. I think that holds weight, even if it's 2 years ago. On the opposite side, Davey Grant, he's the essence of a scrappy striker. He's a badass, tough Englishman. At 39, can still mix it up in close range. You think of him, you think boxing. It's an awkward boxing flow, but Davey also has some nice teeps to the body and some heavy body kicks and some good leg kicks. The thing I love about Davey Grant, and it's why he's a fan favorite and one of my favorite fighters on the roster to watch, is because of his willingness to engage in a brawl. It's fantastic. It's fun as hell to watch. But I just think he's outgunned by the larger man, the superior technician, and the more athletic fighter, and the more primed fighter. I'm going to say Damon Blackshear in a hard fight gets a decision win over on Davey Grant. I could see Blackshear taking him down. If there is takedowns, I'd favor Blackshear getting on top. The striking exchanges, I think Davey's going to be a little bit short on some of his more wild punches, whereas Blackshear is going to look to work straight shots and teeps up the center and keep moving laterally. I feel as though Damon Blackshear has shown a patience and well put shots. Like the accuracy on his shots is getting nicer. And at nearly 31, I feel like he's coming into his own in his UFC career. And I think he can outwork Davey Grant. I like the 3-fight win streak. The Cody Stamann win was mega impressive. The Cody Gibson win, it was a back and forth fight, but it was a badass finish. And then the Eletang Lee fight was a showcase of the stand-up game and the evolution in Damon Blackshear, who, at one point, you think of him as a nasty grappler only. Now he's becoming a very proficient MMA kickboxer. And I think he's got the technical tools to outstrike and outpoint Davey Grant over 3 rounds and mix in takedowns when need be and get a very hard-fought win over a longtime vet. Now, to be fair, Davey Grant has been submitted 4 times before. And if you look at some of the recent Davey Grant foes, nobody you see as of recent jumps out at the page and is like, yo, that's the jiu-jitsu ace. That's the crazy sub-threat. And now I'm thinking, D-Gen prop could be Blackshear to pull off the submission because I could see him locking up a Gilly. I could see him locking up a Darce. I think there's a possibility that Damon Blackshear finishes Davey Grant with a submission. So I'm going to say submission or decision. Initially, I did lean towards the decision side, but like if you're on the gambling side and you're looking for a bit of value, maybe that subline is going to call our names. -300 for Damon Blackshear, +250 for Davey Grant. So Blackshear, fat favorite in this matchup. The over is -131, and it's fair to be close like that because that possibility of the submission from Damon Blackshear, it just stands out to me. It is a live possibility. It is a potential method of victory. His jiu-jitsu's better than Davey's. Davey's good on the ground, relatively speaking, but I think Blackshear is going to be physically stronger. I think he's got better top control. I think he's got faster transition speed on the mat, and he's a more proven submission finisher. And I think Damon Blackshear, decision or submission, is the perfect call here. I'm going to pick Blackshear to beat my guy, Davey Grant. I like both these guys. I've been watching their long runs in the UFC, back to Davey Grant's tough days and Blackshear's first UFC run. I think Blackshear is showing a lot of improvements. And in his prime now, nearly at 31, I'm going to pick him to get it done. Let's keep running. Let's keep on running. Next fight on the card, it's Muslim Salikhov versus Carlos Leal. This is a fun welterweight fight. I'm going to go with Carlos Leal to win. I feel like the guy is kind of built like a machine. He has like that machine style. Pressure, really good cardio, strong physically, strong mentally too, willing to walk through fire, willing to absorb big shots and then throw heavy shots back. He's a powerful Brazilian who I'd consider to be a brute force. Solid boxing skills and pretty well-timed punches with legit knockout power. And he's physically very strong. He's also very fit. I feel like he's got like a patient pressure attack where he slowly chips away at opponents, but he also has the high impact knockout ability. He has an ability to box pretty well, ripping combinations and like slowly breaking people down. But on top of that, he also has the put together MMA game, crafty defensively with grappling, does have nasty tie clinch work, underrated tie clinch, whether it's knees or elbows to the body and head. There's strikes that come through and they land with a lot of force. And I just think that though Salikhov has a really fun to watch kung fu kickboxing style and some nasty baseball bat-like kicks. I mean, shit, he's coming off of the spinny heel kick KO of Kenan Song, who's, relatively a good striker and pretty durable. I mean, shit, he dropped Ian Gary at one point. This is one of those matchups where I see Salikhov getting drowned here because he's going to have to keep it at long distance, but he's also at a disadvantage of reach by 2 inches, and he's fighting a guy that just consistently pressures forward in a patient manner, slowly but surely picking you apart, landing big shots, and wearing you down. I think Carlos Leal is live to get a knockout win on the feet. I feel like Carlos Leal can break Muslim Salikhov here. Salikhov's 41. You have to take age into consideration as well. Yes, Salikhov had a sick win against Kenan Song, but it's not a surging prime Kenan Song who's looking to break into the top 15. Yes, he had a win against Ponzinibbio, but it's another guy towards the final run of his career, and he gets a split decision win over. Before that, Randy Brown knocked him out. Dalby outdogged him. Carlos Leal has this loss against Renat Fakhretdinov, which was a robbery. You look at that fight, Leal had done enough to win, but Fakhretdinov escapes with the decision. I think that Leal is going to showcase pretty nicely in this matchup with Salikhov. I see him wearing him down. I see him pressuring him. I could see him using his physicality and beating Salikhov up against the cage, landing big knees to the body in the clinch, landing elbows on the inside. And I think Salikhov is going to be slowly but surely worn down and broken apart. And I think at 41, he gets clobbered with a big shot up high and knocked out. So I'm going to go Carlos Leal to win by KO. I think he's got the goods to finish a Muslim Salikhov. And I feel like Leal's on the cusp of another shot, to break into the top 15. And looking towards the odds, minus 400. So Leal's a fat favorite, but it makes sense. He's a workhorse. Salikhov's lone chance to win is kind of like a flukish KO. Whereas I think Leal could outwork Salikhov with, clinch pressure and beating him up on the inside and wearing him down. I think Leal could outbox him in the mid and close range. I think Leal could even win this fight if it hit the ground. Salikhov needs to pick him apart and, catch him with the perfect kick. I don't think there's a high probability of that. I think Carlos Leal is going to finish Salikhov, and I think inside distance, under 2.5. Now they got an under 1.5 plus 140. I like under 2.5 a lot more. I do think Leal is going to finish this fight at some point, but there's a live possibility that, it's in the second round. The thing about Leal is like he's slowly going to break you down. And as you hit in your 40s, that durability is not the same. The reflexes aren't the same. The timing's not the same. I don't see Leal just sitting on the outside playing, karate with Muslim Salikhov. I see him looking to close the gap on the King of Kung Fu, parking that car in close range, landing shots in close, using his hands well, cracking Salikhov with big punches. And I think Salikhov's going to be on the run. I think he's going to be uncomfortable. And I think, unfortunately, he's going to be unconscious as well. So I'm going Carlos Leal to knock Muslim Salikhov out. And I'm pretty damn excited for this matchup, to be honest with you. This is a good fight. This is a good chance for Carlos Leal to really put it all together and get a showcase. He beat Morono, who's, towards his final run, but he knocked him out in violent fashion. He lost a controversial decision to Rinat Fakhretdinov, and now he's fighting a Muslim Salikhov. So opposition level, I think it's in the right place. He's fighting a guy with a bit of a fundamentalist flaw, being that when you have such a timing-based style, you hit your 40s, it's not going to be the same. And I get it. He knocked out Kenan Song, but how many times is he doing something like that? And now he's fighting this berserker Brazilian? Nah, I'm going with the Brazilian savage. I'm going with the brute force. I'm going with Carlos Leal to get the knockout. Next fight on the card, our featured prelim of the night. We got Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. It's also Bryce Mitchell making the debut at 135, which could end up being the best decision of his life because it's not like he was a huge featherweight. I'm going to pick Bryce Mitchell to win. I'm going to pick Bryce Mitchell to beat Saeed Nurmagomedov. I'm thinking about Bryce Mitchell's consistent pressure-based wrestling threat. I'm thinking about Bryce Mitchell's jiu-jitsu skill set. I'm thinking about Bryce Mitchell having similar strength to what he had at 145 pounds and now being at 135 with that same type of physicality. So, okay, Bryce Mitchell dragging this fight to the ground. Well, is he going to, do it for 3 rounds? I think he could. Saeed's striking is relatively clean. He's got a good long-range kickboxing style, and he throws sharp punches from the outside. But we saw him walk down and bullied against Vinicius Oliveira. We've seen him lose fights against like a Hani Barcelos, who has a good grappling game. I feel like Bryce Mitchell's going to time takedowns. I think he's going to back Saeed up against the cage. I have a hard time seeing Saeed Nurmagomedov knock Bryce Mitchell out. We saw Bryce last time, got outgunned, and then eventually submitted by John Silva. But it's John Silva. We also saw him out-grapple Kron Gracie. He lost to Josh Emmett by KO, but Emmett's a fucking bomb puncher, man. He has a win against Dan Ige, and Dan Ige can crack hard on the feet. And he took some thunderous shots from Ige. I don't think Saeed Nurmagomedov is knocking Bryce Mitchell out. So then it's, okay, can he outpoint him to a hard-fought 3-round decision? I lean no. I think Mitchell is going to be consistent with his forward pressure. I think Mitchell is going to be able to close that gap on Saeed Nurmagomedov. I like the southpaw stance for Mitchell, though I'm not like, Bryce Mitchell's striking style. It's more Bryce Mitchell in the clinch, peppering punches to the body and head, peppering knees to the body, looking for trips on the outside. It's like Bryce Mitchell bringing threats to Saeed Nurmagomedov on the mat is a big factor. I like Saeed's kickboxing, but your kickboxing is not going to be effective when a guy is closing that red zone on you. And I just can't see Saeed keeping Mitchell off of him for a long enough time to get all the striking going and just start picking him apart. He's not going to hit him with the one-punch KO, and I don't think he's outpointing him for 3 rounds. I think it's going to be a Bryce Mitchell type of fight. Dirty wrestling exchanges. Mitchell ended up on top. Saeed trying to work up to his feet against the cage. Bryce Mitchell on him in the clinch, willing to wear on him, landing shots to the body, knees to the legs, punches to the body, more of the same. I'm going to go with Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell. I think that the decision to drop to 135 pounds could end up being one of the best decisions of Bryce Mitchell's fighting career. I believe he's got a big advantage in wrestling over Saeed Nurmagomedov. Now, you might be thinking, but it's an OV, it's a Nurmagomedov. This is the other gym, though, in Dagestan. Dogfighter is more kickboxing based. Saeed Nurmagomedov, yes, he's got a solid front headlock position. He's got some nasty gillies. I don't see him catching Bryce Mitchell in what Gene Silva caught him with. I don't see a ninja choke. I think Bryce could power through a Saeed Nurmagomedov guillotine attempt. I'm going with Bryce Mitchell to get it done. All right, we're going Bryce to get his hand raised. The odds are about even, -112 for Mitchell, -108 for Saeed Nurmagomedov. The odds should be about even because we got to find out what Bryce Mitchell can do at 135. How does this weight cut impede his performance? Is it a worse version of Bryce Mitchell? Is it the same? Is it a better version? Unsure. I think he's going to make the weight. I think Bryce is going to come in the best shape that we've seen. At 145, I always felt like he was a tad bit on the smaller side. And now he's on, the larger side of 135. And with a grappling game that he brings, having size advantages over these guys, I think it's going to be really effective. I think Bryce Mitchell is going to beat Said Nurmagomedov. And don't be surprised if we see Bryce Mitchell break into the bantamweight top 15. So I'm going Bryce Mitchell to beat Said Nurmagomedov by a unanimous decision. I think he's got this fight. I think he can avoid Said's striking flow and his guillotine attack. So we're going Thug Nasty for the Dubski. Next fight on the card, main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It's Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. I'm going Bogdan Guskov. I think Bogdan Guskov can knock Krylov out. Now, I know that it's a different animal with Dominic Reyes, who shut the lights off of Krylov last time. Reyes has crazy timing on his left hand. Reyes is nasty with his pop. And Bogdan Guskov is a knockout artist too, but he doesn't have that same explosiveness or fast twitch ability as a Dominic Reyes does. But what Bogdan Guskov has is relentlessness. Bogdan Guskov did lose his UFC debut to Volkan Ozdemir by submission, and I get it, it's a red flag. It is a red flag. He's been out grappled in a couple fights in the UFC, and Nikita Krylov has pretty strong grappling. But I don't know about Nikita Krylov at this point. I don't know how much he's got left. He's a wild striker. He's always been. His ground skills are solid. He drags people to the ground, but I think Bogdan Guskov can defend the grappling attack. I think Bogdan Guskov can land overhand shots. I think he could threaten with uppercuts. He's definitely the more precise puncher. So if Nikita Krylov gets him down and is unsuccessful in securing a finish, and Guskov, one thing that he's shown, say what you want about him getting taken down and putting in bad spots by lesser opposition, Guskov is relentless to find ways out of these bad positions. And that's a green flag to me. So I have a Guskov who's not going to let you just smotherfuck him on the ground. He's not going to give up the position. Working to get back up to his feet, getting back up to his feet. And Nikita Krylov in striking, I've never been blown away by his stand-up. It freaks me out to this day how good on the feet he looked against Gustafsson. I think that was the corpse of Gustafsson. Nikita Krylov's striking is all right. He's got a relatively, solid kickboxing base. You can say he comes from like the karate base in striking, but it gets a little wild. A lot of these karate guys, man, it's like most guys ain't Wonder Boy. They get wild. Prochnio last week, he gets wild on the feet. I think he's got overrated punching power. I do think he has pretty good wrestling, and I do think he has pretty good control, and I do think he has submission threats. He's coming off of a violent knockout loss 3 months ago. Is he ready to bounce back and fight Bogdan Guskov after getting violently chinned like that? Fighting another knockout puncher. The uppercut that Guskov landed against Ryan Spann could be a tool in this fight here because Krylov comes in a little wild. He does some weird dips side to side and down low. I could see him caught by a well-timed punch by Bogdan. I think Bogdan's stand-up is pretty legit. He's quick on the feet. He rips flurries together really nicely. He's smooth in striking for sure. He has struggled on the ground a bit. So, grappling skills are a bit of a yellow flag with Bogdan Guskov, but an ability to get back up to his feet is definitely a factor. An overwhelming striking onslaught with multi-shot combinations and big blitzes and flurries, but also timing on one-shot KO ability. I think he can catch Nikita Krylov on the feet. I think Krylov's striking is a little sloppy. I think Krylov's striking is on the uglier side. He had a long layoff. He was off over 2 years. He beat Ryan Spann by submission, but it's like Spann gave him the triangle. And then he went out and Reyes flatlined him. Worst pick flip ever. I had Reyes all week. Then after the weigh-ins, I'm like, let me go Krylov. Terrible. I look back at that fight with embarrassment, to be honest. I'm sad thinking about it. I think Bogdan Guskov also puts Nikita Krylov away. I get it. He's only 33, but he's got 40 fights. Been watching since the Soa Palele fight years ago for Krylov. I think Bogdan's got the hand speed for him. And I think he's got a pretty relentless striking pressure, which I like a lot. And I think Bogdan's pretty legit as far as stand-up fighters at 205, striking specialist. But his grappling defense is not as bad as you may consider. His ability to escape the positions, his ability to defend the submissions. I get it. On short notice, Volkan Ozdemir subbed him, and that's an ugly look. But he's better than that. He's better than that fight. And he's gotten consistently better in each and every fight. And he's got a submission win even in his last fight. I'm saying Bogdan Guskov overwhelms Nikita Krylov. He lands a big shot and then he rips him with a massive barrage. And I think he puts Krylov away. I'm going with Bogdan Guskov to keep the 3-fight winning streak going. I'm going to believe in the momentum that he's riding with coming into this fight as well. Guskov's a plus 160 underdog here with Krylov at minus 185. I guess it makes sense because of Krylov's resume. But when I think of this fight, I say, okay, let's say Krylov gets him down, but he doesn't submit him. And let's say Guskov gets back up to his feet. Krylov's stand-up has looked pretty bad. So if he's getting you down and you're getting back up, and then he's got to get you down again, and you're getting back up, I don't know if Krylov has the same precision he did some years ago against Volkan. What was that, nearly 3 years ago against Volkan Ozdemir? I think Guskov with fast hands can find some big shots. And I get it, Guskov lost to Volkan, but fuck the MMA math. The styles make the fights. Bogdan Guskov's flurries are nice. Bogdan Guskov's hand speed is quite impressive. And Bogdan Guskov does have the gift of knockout power. And I think he's going to knock Nikita Krylov out. So I'm going to go with the plus 160 underdog, Bogdan Guskov, to chin Krylov. In a battle of OVs, I'm going with the Uzbek. And surprisingly, he's 63% of Tapology. Over 1,100 people making picks, and they go in the dog. The opening lines for the fight, Nikita Krylov was minus 135. The odds have spread towards the other direction, which shows, though there's, a lot of predictors on Guskov, the gambling side hit the line heavier Krylov. And I get it, because they're looking at Guskov's grappling. They're looking at Guskov in bad spots on the ground, but they need to look past the bad spot, and they need to look at his ability to escape the position. Yes, Billy Elekana is not elite, but he did escape Billy Elekana's position on the ground and then got to a dominant position himself. Yes, Ryan Spann had moments on the ground, but Guskov was able to find his way out. And we got a Nikita Krylov who's fought, twice in the past 2.5 years, got knocked out bad against Dom Reyes just 3 months ago. That was the first time he'd ever been put out like that. He'd been stopped with the corner stoppage with the Soa Palele fight. It was his UFC debut as well. Holy shit, it's a long time ago. 2013. He got stopped. Actually, no, it was ground and pound. That's a long time ago. He looked dead heading back to the damn corner, which is why I was thinking doctor stoppage or something like that. But flatline KO'd for the first time against Dom Reyes. Now you give him another power hitter, a confident power hitter in Guskov, who's got 3 straight finishes. I got to go Bogdan Guskov. I'm going to go with the momentum. I'm going to say the up-and-coming light heavyweight prospect takes out one of the old guard in Nikita Krylov. So I'm going to go Guskov to find a way. Next fight on the card. We got Asu Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. We just broke down a Jose Ochoa fight. Now he's fighting again. I'm going Asu Almabayev to beat Ochoa, and I like Ochoa a lot. He's a really fun to watch striker. He's got precise punches, snappy kicks, good kickboxing from close range, long range, all ranges. He can punch on the inside. He threatens with jump knees. He's a good athlete. He's got nice elbows. His jiu-jitsu game, I'd say, is relatively good, but at what level? We have to look at Cody Durden clobbering him with shots in round 1 and having moments of success. Yes, he put Cody Durden out quick in round 2. Beautifully timed punch. He's got a lot of power. But Asu Almabayev is a primed workhorse. Cody Durden was towards his final run. Asu Almabayev has a strong wrestling game, a consistent chain wrestling ability, a pressure ability, a strong gas tank. Asu Almabayev can dominate position in this fight. I have a hard time seeing Ochoa stopping the chain wrestling. Now, as they're striking, I'll say Ochoa has more power, but am I wrong to say Asu Almabayev can have striking moments too? I don't think Asu Almabayev is a terrible striker. I know the Manel Cop fight. Wasn't great. It was an awkward stoppage. It was a weird result and ending. And, it is what it is, though. We move past it. Asu Almabayev got handled by Cop. Cop is a precision puncher who's amongst the elites in the UFC flyweight division. Jose Ochoa is a really fun prospect. But I just don't know if Ochoa is going to be able to stop the takedowns. I can see Ochoa on his back. I can see Ochoa keeping his head on the center line and getting caught with a big overhand into a takedown by Almabayev. I can see Almabayev just totally out-muscling him when it hits the mat. I feel like Asu Almabayev's wrestling is too good. I mean, he started his UFC career off red hot. Almabayev came in as the prospect to watch. Went out there and submitted Ode Osborne easily, beat CJ Vergara, beat Jose Johnson, beat Matthias Nicolau. And then he lost to Manel Cop in the third. Look at Jose Ochoa, had the close loss to Leonard Kavanaugh, where he hurt Kavanaugh bad to the body in the second round. And then he ends up knocking Cody Durden flat out in violent fashion just over a month ago. Takes this fight on short notice. Aslan Almabayev was preparing to fight Ramazan Temirov, one of the most terrifying forces the flyweight division has ever seen. Explosive puncher with strong wrestling and just overall nasty game. Now he's fighting a good prospect. 8-1 Ochoa. Look at the experience difference. 21-3 as opposed to 8-1. I just think that Aslan Almabayev's wrestling is too much. I see him getting Ochoa to the ground, and when they strike, I still think Ochoa is available to be hit. Jumping in on a month notice, I get it. He was preparing for the wrestling of Durden, but it's a completely different style. It's a completely different style. It's the Kazakh wrestling. Cody Durden might be a wrestler by trade, but he also had 4 pro boxing matches, and he also is more of a brawler. Aslan Almabayev is more of a technician. He'll strike to then grapple. And I think in this fight, he can strike to grapple well. I'm sure Ochoa has some big moments, and I see him catching Almabayev with a couple of big body shots. But I think he gets a little wild on the feet, and then I think he's taken down. So I'm going to go Aslan Almabayev to secure the win. I feel like decision is what I got to lean towards. I feel like Ochoa has a really nice frame for this weight class, going to have the height and reach advantage. But when you're on your back, it doesn't mean much. I don't know about his jiu-jitsu at a high level. I know it's, good enough, but is it Almabayev ready? I can't say that. It just seems like too much too soon. He keeps his head on the center line, which is something I don't love. I get it. Almabayev, not necessarily the knockout hitter, but like I could see him landing an overhand and then timing a takedown from that. I feel like Almabayev, at the very least, is fine on the feet. Like, I don't think he's getting just blistered with big shots and broken down and put away. I don't see Ochoa being able to just blitz him and run him over on the feet. I think Almabayev's okay in striking, but then he's going to look to grapple. I think he's going to use the cage to his advantage. I think he's going to find trips and takedowns against the cage. I think we're going to see Ochoa look to climb the cage, then Almabayev look to jump to his back. I see Almabayev in that backside body lock position against the cage, wearing on Jose Ochoa. And I'm going to say that Aslan Almabayev takes it home by unanimous decision. On top of that, I mean, we're in Abu Dhabi. I got to say, if it's a close decision, I definitely think they'd favor the side of Almabayev on the cards. We've seen it in Abu Dhabi. The rules get bent a little bit. We've seen bad decisions there with, certain other matchups. And I think that this one here, Aslan Almabayev, I think he'll deserve the win. But even if it's competitive, I feel like it goes towards him. I'm going Almabayev to defeat the short notice replacement, Jose Ochoa here. Let's see. Almabayev minus 101, Ochoa minus 119. How is Ochoa the favorite? What did he open up as? Opened up at plus 330. There's been that much love for the underdog side. I get it. He looked fantastic against Cody Durden, but let's hold on a second. It's Aslan Almabayev. It's not Durden. Almabayev's good. Okay, Manel Kopp fucks him up. So it's like, okay, Manel Kopp finishes you. He beats you in striking. Now Ochoa is going to just run him over. I'm not confident in Ochoa stopping the takedowns. I'm not confident in Ochoa getting back up to his feet easily. I think he can fight back up to his feet, but it's going to wear on him. And I think with the wrestling threat wearing on the body, slowing down Ochoa, I expect him to be controlled, maybe even more so towards the later stage of the fight. I'm going towards the side of Almabayev by a decision. Over 2.5 is minus 161. I say it does go over. I think Almabayev wins. And I'm surprised to see Almabayev, who's been scheduled to fight on this card, was preparing for Ramazan Temirov. Yes, it's a different matchup with Ochoa, but a young 24-year-old prospect without even, I guess he technically has 10 fights if you include the no contest, but with just 10 fights, is now the favorite against him? That surprises me. I'm going Aslan Almabayev by a decision. I believe in the wrestling. I believe in the pressure. And I believe in the ability to chain the striking and wrestling together well. As much as I really like Ochoa's stand-up, I just think this is a bad matchup right now. And I don't think that Ochoa is ready for it. So going Almabayev for the W. Let's keep running up the card. Next fight on the card, featured bout of the night. We got Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. The UFC does it again. What are they doing? They're giving Shara Bullet a highlight reel chance in a major spot, as they should, right? He's really popular in this region. Shara Bullet's going to win. I mean, I'm picking him to get it done. He's got the enter the matrix striking style. Really sharp stand-up game with Shara Bullet Magomedov. Really slick kicks, well-timed punches, really good movement. Also has the creative attack, like the double spinning back fist. Watch for a spinning attack here. Watch for a spin elbow. Watch for just a spin back fist. Watch for some spinning kicks to the body. Watch for some snapping teeps up the center. Superman punches. I think that he's so much more elusive than Marc-Andre Barriault in the stand-up, whereas like Barriault, he has almost like a BKFC style. Does that make sense? Bare knuckle style, born to brawl type of shit. I think that Marc-Andre Barriault engages best in back and forth bangers in close range. He can overwhelm people with relentless pressure and big punches. Him and Chris Curtis went after it in a fun 3-round striking affair, but that hasn't necessarily aged that well. Last time out, he laid waste to Bruno Silva, but we got to be real about it. It was the corpse of Bruno Silva. It's a wash Bruno Silva who had nothing left, and Barriault violently knocked him out in Canada. Fight before that, he was nasty KO'd, brutal fashion against Dustin Stoltzfus. But fight before that, Joe Pyfer crumbled him. And then the Chris Curtis split decision about a year and a half ago. I think Marc-Andre Barriault's a fun brawler, and he's got, a good style to engage in close range and throw hard shots. But I think Shara is just way too dynamic at striking. Whether it's kicks to the body, whether it's the lateral movement, whether it's picking off shots from the mid and long range, I think Shara Bullet lands more accurately. And I think he's going to have a clear-cut strike speed advantage, and I definitely rate him as the slicker, and I'd even say more powerful striker, not just brute force power, but Shara Bullet with precise and well-timed punching power. Barriault, don't feel like he's just in safe zone. Oh, well, he knocked out Bruno. He's far past those KO losses. I think another KO loss could definitely be coming his way here with Shara Bullet. And I'm going to say Shara Bullet catches him with a brutal counter shot and flatlines Marc-Andre Barriault. I'm going Shara Bullet by knockout. The odds for the fight, Shara Bullet is a minus 700 favorite. That is terrible. He's too wide of a favorite. Plus 500 for Barriault. My God. Some of these lines over the past few weeks have been atrocious, but I do think Shara gets a knockout. I was thinking second round knockout, but under 1.5 is plus 130, over minus 160. I could see Shara making his reads in round number 1, landing decent counter shots, but letting Barriault kind of do his thing and figure out, the style of Barriault, how he's going to attack. Of course, he's watched it, but it's different when you feel it. And then I think he could find, the perfectly placed counter come round number 2. I definitely see a Shara Bullet victory coming. He lost to Michael Venom Page last time, but Venom Page is the definition of technical mastery in striking. And now Venom Page is scheduled to fight Jared Cannonier at 185. So he's in like a high-stakes contender fight. Before that, he had that double spinning back fist knockout of Armin Petrosian, which is something for the highlight reel books. Beat McCall Likjacek, in a technical striking display. Was able to knock out Trockley in the third. Trockley just a big, tall body. And then Bruno Silva decision, which, obviously Barriault beat Bruno more impressively. I still am not convinced that Marc-Andre Barriault's chin is back, and I feel relatively confident that Shara Bullet Magomedov is going to snipe him with a big counter shot. And I think whether it's a kick to the body followed by a big shot up high, or it's a spin attack, or maybe even a lead left hook from Shara Bullet, I think he's going to end up dropping Marc-Andre Barriault and putting him away. But if worse came to worse, I do think Shara Bullet Magomedov could beat Marc-Andre Barriault by a unanimous decision. I think you could technically outpoint him with his clear-cut speed advantage and just sharper striking skills. So we're going with the Bullet. We're going Magomedov, and I'll go KO in this one. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, co-main event. We have Petr Yan versus Marcus McGhee. I'm going to pick Petr Yan. I was really surprised by this matchmaking when I initially heard about this fight. I actually thought it was a joke. I thought it was like, one of those pages putting out some fake shit on X. But nah, it comes to reality. Marcus McGhee taking on Petr Yan. I like Marcus McGhee. I think Marcus McGhee is a really fun prospect who's got fast hands, good power, good combinations, dynamic explosive ability, nasty striking skills, and just is one to watch. He's a really good switch hitter southpaw. But damn, he was struggling in round 3 with Jonathan Martinez. He's really powerful and he throws hard early, but I don't think his abilities are prepared for what Petr Yan brings to the table. Petr Yan is an elite caliber kickboxer. He's a very precise striker with well-timed punches and kicks, whether it's teeps to the body, snapping kicks to the body, lead left hooks over the top, or even working a jab and closing range, then landing shots over the top. I feel like Yan is just better at striking. Also a southpaw. Jan's got nasty hooks, man. I can see him cracking McGhee with body punches as well, and then wearing on that gas tank. So round number 3 comes, we could see Jan kind of really start to put it on Marcus. I think Jan is simply put too precise. Having a massive footwork advantage is a factor. Having a clear-cut speed advantage is a factor. All the elite high-level MMA experience is a factor as the former champion. Crazy to think that Marcus McGhee is about 3 years older than Petr Yan, but this is like his first real top caliber fight. He's only got 11 pro fights to Petr Yan's 23, and it's been all elite opposition with Yan for the most part. Yeah, he did fall on hard times with the losing streak, but like, okay, competitive fight with Aljamain Sterling, right? Ends up losing the split decision. People felt he won. A lot of people felt he should have beat Sean O'Malley. He rocked Sean O'Malley. He looked insanely precise with the counter shots in that fight. Got outworked by Merab, but it's fucking Merab. Who doesn't get outworked by Merab? Beats Song Yadong in a close fight. Beats Davison Figueiredo handily. I think that Petr Yan wins. I think he wins a decision. I wish this fight was 5 rounds. I actually feel like there's going to be more to be desired of this fight after the fact because it's only 3 rounds. I felt like the UFC should have done like a special 5-round co-feature for a matchup like this, because this could easily be a main event with Yan, leading the show on a different card. I don't know. I get it though. Movzar was supposed to be fighting Pico, so you couldn't do a 5-round Petr Yan fight too on the card at that point. Yeah, I would have preferred 5 rounds. I do think Marcus McGhee could find success in round 1. I think his explosiveness could help him in round 1. And he's like pretty jacked, physically a strong guy. And I think he could definitely absorb shots from Petr Yan and then return with big shots and land and back up Yan a little bit early. But I think as the fight goes on, you see Yan has an ability to find reads and start to pick his shots well. I think Petr Yan's going to look pretty sharp here against Marcus McGhee. And I think he's going to technically outstrike him in a hard back and forth 3-round fight. So the pick for me is going to be Petr Yan by a unanimous decision. I think he lands more significant shots. I'd say the difference maker is going to be just the overall ability to move. Like, yes, McGhee is fast, but Yan is more efficient in angle cutting and also has, I think, deeper layers to his stand-up game, whereas McGhee just hasn't been doing this long enough at a high level to show those abilities or to even have those abilities. Petr Yan is still a one of one, and I think Petr Yan's getting it done, and he's going to beat Marcus McGhee on the cards. Now, the odds for the fight, Petr Yan minus 350. I can't really argue with the betting lines. I think they're fair. I think Petr Yan is a favorite like this makes sense because Marcus McGhee's biggest fight is Jonathan Martinez, and he lost the 3rd round. His legs were getting chopped up. We could see Yan go to the legs a little bit here, but I definitely think Yan, with the punching power, will force McGhee to respect him, which could then stifle the offense a bit of Marcus McGhee as well. Plus 285 for Marcus McGhee as a big dog on the other side. Yeah, I think it's too much too soon for McGhee, but he's 35, so it's now or never, right? Is he going to break into the top or not? We got to find out. Over 2.5 minus 290. I say yes. I anticipate this fight to go all 3 rounds, and I think it's going to be competitive in moments, but Yan leading the dance for the majority. See him as too slick. Too slick. Marcus McGhee hits hard, and he's explosive as fuck, and he's fun to watch, but like, the wins and the level difference. All right, Journey Newsom win, totally different level. JP Bays win, totally different level. Gaston Bolaños, totally different level. Jonathan Martinez, totally different level. Petr Yan's a different beast, and he's fighting all of the best bantamweights of this fucking era, man. Petr Yan's one of a kind. He's the man that sent Henry Cejudo into the temporary retirement, okay? Petr Yan beats Marcus McGhee in this one. I'm calling it. I think he handles business. Unanimous decision. Let's jump to the main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder to close out the card. I'm picking Reinier de Ridder to beat Rob Whittaker. I've been feeling it since I woke up this morning. I was like, yo, man, this pick is torture for me because I'm like, okay, Robert Whittaker, high caliber stand-up. really nasty knee stomps. You can call them oblique kicks. You can call it the lead side leg kick. Knows how to attack the knees really well. Rob Whittaker has really good lateral movement, has big power in his hands, definitely good timing on his punches, and can string combinations together really well. Dangerous kicks up high to the body and head. My worry, though, Renier de Ridder's physicality and grappling ability. When I look at Rob Whittaker, he was handled by Dricus du Plessis on the mat. And Renier de Ridder arguably is the highest caliber grappling practitioner, besides Khamzat Chimaev, of course, that we've ever seen Robert Whittaker face off against. Renier de Ridder was double champ in one championship, and then he lost to Malikin twice. And I get it. It's bad that he lost those fights, right, outside of the UFC. But to be fair, the drug testing protocol is a lot lighter over there. Renier de Ridder has strung off 4 straight wins, and I feel like he's got a weird style for Whittaker. He's going to have that 4-inch height advantage, which is a factor. I think he can outwork Whittaker inside of the clinch. There's also a very active clinch from Renier de Ridder against the cage. Knees to the body, I think, are going to be a factor. I see Whittaker as a really good scrambler, and I could see him scrambling out of positions and having striking moments. But de Ridder's size worries me. I see Whittaker getting taken down in this fight. I see Whittaker getting his back taken in this fight. That's what's really killing me here with the pick, which is why I got to go de Ridder. I think de Ridder's frame poses a very unique threat to Rob Whittaker, who normally has good grappling defensive abilities. Renier de Ridder's striking is not great. He's okay with his stand-up game. At best, he's okay with his stand-up game. But he's got a big range advantage, 78-inch reach to 73.5. I think that's a big factor for Renier de Ridder here, and I think that could keep him safe in the stand-up. Even if he doesn't have the same speed, which he doesn't, or the same technical striking abilities, which he doesn't, that size alone could be a difficult feat to overcome for Robert Whittaker in this fight. I see Renier de Ridder closing that gap and getting Whittaker in the clinch. And I think Renier de Ridder works some knees to the body, kind of wears on Whittaker against the cage. I see Whittaker escaping, looking for big shots, maybe even the crowd going wild as he lets some barrages of shots fly. But I think de Ridder can defend the positions and drag this fight to the ground. I think de Ridder could take his back. Another aspect of Renier de Ridder that we shouldn't overlook, which, you know, earlier on we were overlooking in his earlier UFC fights. De Ridder has been championship 5 rounds before and won FC. I feel as though he's going to be able to beat Robert Whittaker. I really do. I feel like Renier de Ridder's striking is not bad. I don't think that it's exceptional. He's not blessed with the gift of explosiveness. He's got a little bit of a clunky style on the feet, but he does have decent body kicks and front kicks to the body, or teep kicks, whatever you want to call them, more of like a push kick that he'll throw out there. And then he has good clinch work, and he brings really good takedown threats to the fight. And I could see Whittaker taken down in this fight. I can see Whittaker getting his back taken in this fight. And I can see Renier de Ridder doing what at one point would have been the impossible and strangling Robert Whittaker. I know that the Khamzat Chimaev fight, there was the quick tap because of the injury to the jaw and the teeth getting pulled back after Khamzat squeezed, and it wasn't like a fully sunken rear naked choke. But Khamzat got him into those compromised spots very early in the fight. I'm not anticipating de Ridder to just slice through Robert Whittaker like a piece of hot butter or anything like that, or a well-cooked steak, you know? I think that de Ridder wears on him a bit. I think Whittaker has some striking moments. I think de Ridder has some moments in the clinch, maybe even landing elbows and cutting Robert Whittaker. I see him landing knees to the body on the inside, and I see him dragging Whittaker to the ground and taking his back. I just can't unsee this back take, whether it's against the cage or then he drags him out more so to the open mat and then has a fully locked in body triangle. Whether it's to control or lock up the submission, I see de Ridder having an advantage in jiu-jitsu in this fight. And I think it's going to be a big enough advantage that it wins him the fight, especially with the frame that he has. And also the momentum on his side with the 4-fight winning streak and this chase towards UFC gold. Whittaker has been there and done that. Whittaker just fought in a #1 contender fight against Khamzat and lost. Now he's fighting a surging de Ridder, who's undefeated in the UFC right now, who's been a name in the game for years, who's 4 inches taller, who's got a 4.5-inch reach advantage, who's got just clearly better grappling skills. Yes, Robert Whittaker scrambles well and he's hard to contain and hold down. But as the fight wears on, De Ridder will find more success in those grappling positions. I'm feeling like De Ridder third round rear naked choke submission makes sense to me. I'm thinking submission or decision as far as the official pick goes, but I see Reinier De Ridder getting his hand raised. I can't unsee it. I'm seeing it in my eyes right now. I'm going De Ridder to beat Robert Whittaker by submission or decision, but I'll say submission third round, but definitely a decision wouldn't shock me. I could see it as a competitive fight. I could see De Ridder dragging him down, Whittaker having some striking moments, but I think we're going to see De Ridder's chin hold up, and I think his size advantage end up being a massive factor alongside of his high-caliber jiu-jitsu skills. Plus 130 for Reinier De Ridder, minus 150 for Robert Whittaker. What is the over in this fight? Over 2.5 is minus 155. I think there could be this third round rear naked choke. I could see De Ridder slowly wearing Whittaker down. If you look at Whittaker's historic run, right? Khamzat Chimaev, really the best grappler he had faced. And then, yes, got submitted in that fight. Ali Askarov's a good wrestler, but was known for a testy chin. Dricus du Plessis, known for strong grappling skills and big physicality on the feet and power, was able to bulldoze through Rob Whittaker. Adesanya, a kickboxer, right? You look through the resume. He beat, Jacare in 2017. And yes, Jacare was really nasty on the ground, but a different animal than Reinier De Ridder. Jacare, at 6'1", was only a little bit of an inch taller, short reach, 72 inches. He beat Rafael Natal years ago, who had decent enough jiu-jitsu. But look through the run. Who that he has fought compares to Reinier De Ridder in grappling. Now, you could say, oh, but De Ridder on the other side, you could argue the same thing. I guess fair point. I guess I can compare Alang Sung, who's got good striking, not the same explosiveness, not the same power. I feel like De Ridder's been watching Whittaker forever. And I think that he's been dreaming of this matchup. And I think stylistically, the matchup is more favorable to him than we would have initially thought. And I think Reinier De Ridder's submitting Rob Whittaker come Saturday. So I'm going De Ridder to win the main event against Robert Whittaker by submission in the third. Potentially gets it on the cards or submits him at a different point. We're going Mystic Mac by just sniping something out. I like the rear naked choke. I like the submission skills. I like the frame. And I like the momentum on De Ridder's side. I'm going Reinier De Ridder to beat Robert Whittaker. Those are the predictions for this UFC Abu Dhabi card. I'm excited to have a fight night in the afternoon, starting the day off with some badass fights. That's a good Saturday. I hope you guys enjoyed the full card breakdown. Let me know in the comments what you think of the predictions. I feel like there's going to be a heated debate with the main event because Tapology right now has this main event around 50-50. 51 De Ridder, 49 Whittaker. So I want to see what the community is thinking as well. So let me know in the comments who you got in the main event, Whittaker, De Ridder, or any other pick on the card that you want to discuss. Let me know what you think. All right? W in the comments if you got nothing to say. Thank you guys for the consistent support. I love you, savages. I do. I'll be back live tomorrow with the Lunchtime Live, Monday to Friday, bringing the heat every single day of the week with daily content, live streams, videos, and more. So you know where to keep it locked in with me, AJ, on the MMA Experts channel. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do it. If you haven't hit the likes, make sure you do it. And if you really enjoy, turn the post notifications on so you don't miss a thing. And if you want to help, hey, share it with a friend. Send it to a group chat. Share the channel too. Everything helps, all right? Thank you, guys. I appreciate the support. I love you, savages. Thank you guys for over 50,000 subscribers last week. We're at 50,400 something, so big W to you guys on that. I love you guys. This is bounce back week. I'm pissed off about UFC 318. I'm annoyed about the Kevin Holland result selling, which shocked me more than anything else. I'm happy we hit the main event with the Max Holloway perfect prediction, and I'm looking to keep the main event streak going, but it's get back time this week. And I'm feeling invigorated, motivated. I feel like my picks are pretty on point. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Much love. Peace out.